Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna, the ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. And after celebrating Sri Krishna Janmashtami yesterday, let us continue this reading of the Dhyana Yoga, the 6th Adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and we are going to read the 8th Shlok today. The previous Shlok that we read yesterday, Sri Krishna told us about elevation of an ordinary person once he starts performing the Karma Yoga without any attachment to the fruits of action and without even having the ownership of I am doing the work. Then what happens? That person becomes starts walking on the path of the yoga, and then having conquered the lower self by the divine self, jitātmanaḥ prashantasya paramatma samahitaḥ, that the self-disciplined, serene man's supreme self, which has the limited self which has been conquered by the supreme self, what sort of person he becomes? He becomes a person of same-sightedness. He is an equipoised person. He starts looking at all the opposites, or the pairs of opposites, the hot and cold, the pleasure and sorrow, happiness, unhappiness, honor, dishonor, shitoshna sukheshu tatha manapamanayoho samahitaḥ. He starts looking at all these pairs of opposites, whether it is cold or hot, whether it is happiness or sorrow, whether it is pleasure or pain, whether it is mana, apamana, honor, dishonor. He starts looking at all these pairs of opposites with the same sightedness. Such a great yogi he becomes. He is not affected by anything. He is, whether it is happening that is good for him or bad for him, he is not perturbed at all. He is in his own bliss. He is in that state of sthita prajna. And in the 8th Shloka, the Sri Krishna further tells us of this constancy of the yogi, how he can remain same in pleasure and pain, in honor and dishonor, and what further qualities, what further attributes he manifests. Sri Krishna says in the 8th Shlok, jñāna-vijñāna-tṛiptātmā kūṭa-stho vijitendriyaḥ yukta ityuchyate yogī sama-loṣhṭāśhma-kāñchanaḥ. He reaches such a higher stage on this path of spiritual evolution. Whether it is knowledge, gaining devotion, performing karma without any sankalpa, without any motive, performing karma without any attachment to the fruit and also without attachment to the karma itself. What happens? Jñāna-vijñāna-tṛiptātmā. Jnana, knowledge. Vijnana, the ultimate realization. There is a difference between jnana and vijnana. Jnana is, yes, we read, our teachers teach us, and we get that knowledge, that is jnana. But unless and until we make use of that knowledge in the practical realization, that knowledge is of no use. And that the process of making use of the knowledge gained for the actual realization, that is vijnana. Simply having knowledge is of no use. Fine, we may study tons and tons and loads of books, but unless and until we get the personal realization, unless and until we realize the truth of what we have learned in that knowledge, it is of no use. Unless and until we convert that jnana into vijnana, it is of no use. So Sri Krishna says, jñāna-vijñāna-tṛiptātmā, one who is satisfied with knowledge and the ultimate realization. One who is satisfied not only with knowledge but also with the realization. Jnana and vijñāna-tṛiptātmā, kūṭa-stho vijitendriyaḥ. Kūṭa-stho is unshaken. Having got the knowledge, having got the ultimate realization, and having satisfied one's knowledge by that realization, when he is unshaken, steady, balanced, kūṭa-stho, samahitaḥ. So when he reaches that stage of being a kūṭa-stho, when he reaches that stage of being absolute, steady, firm, nobody can shake him from that position. When kūṭa-stho vijitendriyaḥ, having conquered the indriyas, vijitendriyaḥ, having conquered the indriyas, having found that satisfaction in understanding what he has learned in the knowledge and the realization. Yukta ityuchyate yogi, sama-loṣhṭāśhma-kāñchanaḥ. That person is said to be a perfectly poised, yukta, balanced. The one who has reached the pinnacle of the path of yoga, yukta. Yukta ityuchyate yogi. That person is called as yukta, yogi. And what happens of such a person? Sama-loṣhṭāśhma-kāñchanaḥ. Sama-loṣhṭāśhma-kāñchanaḥ. Loṣhṭāśhma is a clod of earth. For him, a clod of earth and Kanchana, gold, become one and the same entity. Does it happen in our case? For us, Kanchana, gold, the riches, is much more superior than a clod of earth, isn't it? Supposing someone gives us a bucket full of earth. Take this, I am giving it to you as a present. What will we say? The fool, what is the value of that earth? But if someone gives us a small gold medal, a small article of gold, oh wow, what is a wonderful gift this fellow has given me. But the yukta, who has reached the pinnacle of the path of yoga, for him, that clod of earth, loṣhṭana, loṣhṭa and kanchana, they are both the same thing. Loṣhṭama and Kanchana are same to that person, the clod of earth and the riches of gold. For him, there is no difference. Ultimately, they are all just the product of this Pancha Mahabhuta. For him, they are the same. So Sri Krishna further describes the qualities of such a great yogi who has become samahita, who has become sthita prajna, who has become kūṭa-stho. Having understood the knowledge, having got the ultimate realization and remaining satisfied in that realization, having conquered the senses, vijitendriyaḥ, having absolutely conquered, not just minute victory over senses, no, absolutely crushed the senses and their association with the sense objects and sense organs, no more creating that particular scenario of getting to the sense objects from enjoyment point of view. Nothing, no sense objects, no sense organs, no senses, everything is conquered. Vijitendriyaḥ, that person, the yogi of the yogis, yukta, for him, the clod of earth and kanchana gold, they become one and the same thing, which is the ultimate on the path of knowledge and realization. That is the ultimate same-sightedness. That is the ultimate poise. That is the ultimate understanding, realization. That yogi is steadfast, kūṭa-stho, who is satisfied with knowledge and wisdom. The gained with knowledge and the actual realization. Who remains unshaken, kūṭa-stho again, who has conquered the senses, to whom a clod of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold are the same. The clarity of understanding obtained through the intellectual pursuit and pious study of the scriptures goes by the nomenclature of jnana. That is the theoretical knowledge we earn. We study the books. We do some practical experiments to know more about it. That is all. That is the knowledge we gain. But the actual realization of what we have learned, that is vijnāna. And when a person, and Sri Ramakrishna used to give lot of examples of this jnana and vijnāna. One example that he used to give, how he used to categorize between ajnana, jnana and vijnāna. He used to categorize between these three as, what is ajnana? A person hasn't heard even the name milk. For him, what milk is that white colored liquid which we get from cows and buffaloes, which has lot of nutrients in it? He doesn't know anything about it. That is ajnana. Jnana, he knows something about milk. Yes, it is white in color. It is highly nutritious. There is a butter and ghee hidden in that milk. If we drink milk, if we eat meat products, we get good nutrition. That is knowledge. We know, okay, milk has protein, fat, carbohydrate, everything. That is the theoretical knowledge that we get. That is jnana. But then what is vijnāna? A person having understood what lies there in milk, what nutrition lies there in milk, what nutrition is hidden in that milk when he drinks that milk, when he starts consuming that milk products, and then gets the nutrients and becomes a well-built, strong man. That is vijnāna. Simply reading about milk, oh, it has butter in it, it has ghee in it, no use. You have to learn to make curd from that milk, churn the curd, get the butter, get the ghee, and then have that energy, have that nutrition, have those nutrients which are contained in the milk and nourish the body with that and get benefited by those nutrients in the milk. That is vijnāna. So that is how Sri Krishna says here, that one who remains satisfied not only with jnana but also in vijnāna. one who has totally conquered his senses. That yogi of the yogis, he is called as a yukta person. And when he reaches that stage, he reaches that ultimate stage of being a yogi, where he starts looking at the clod of earth, at stone and the gold in the same sight, with the same poise. He doesn't get elated when he gets some lucrative offer for gold. Neither he is dejected if somebody throws a stone at him. No, for him, both the stone and the gold, piece of gold, they are the same thing. The truth cogitated upon becomes cognized, and the yogi delights both in the process and attainment, that is, attainment of knowledge and realization. While everything else in nature shifts and changes, it is only the akasha or space alone which ever remains unchanged. Similarly, the self in the substratum behind the fleeting universe remains unchanged. Among the five elements of the nature, it is only the space which remains unchanged. We cannot, it doesn't qualify in that particular sense to divide. No, space is the only element which remains unchanged. And similarly, the Atman. Otherwise, our mind changes, intellect changes, body changes, but the one which is sitting inside, dwelling in this fort of 9 gates, always remains unchanged, and he is not perturbed by any of these dualities. He is not perturbed by any of the dualities in the pleasure or pain sense, the dualities in the hot or cold sense, the dualities in the honor and dishonor sense, or the dualities in a clod of earth and gold sense. It is not perturbed. No way. It is therefore termed as kūṭa-stho, unchanged, unshaken, not moved, not allured, not tempted, not dejected, not, pampered. No, nothing in this world can change it. It is the kūṭa-stho. The senses get quelled subsequent to the mind being controlled. The achievement of the yogi is that he is the conqueror of the senses. Once a yogi has conquered senses, what is there to tempt him? What is there to allure him? Nothing. He looks everything as the manifestation of that great Satchidananda. While the worldly minded one grade the values of a clod, a stone, or a piece of gold, the yogi beholds them all as modifications of that transient nature. It is just, for him, everything is matter, whether a clod of earth or a piece of gold. It is all matter which is absolutely, it has a transient nature. It is going to destroy one day. It is going to get destructed. It is going to fall in that cycle of creation, preservation, destruction. And since it is in the gamut of that prakriti, in that process of creation, preservation, destruction, it has no permanence at all. He views all the things of the world with an equal eye, while his mind is established only in the Brahman, the ultimate reality, the ultimate truth. And Sri Ramakrishna, on this particular shloka, how he teaches, his teaching going in line with this teaching of Sri Krishna in this shloka. Sri Ramakrishna says, worldly people are they who seek after the impermanent things of the world. Those are the worldly people. Who go after the clod of earth and the piece of gold. Those are the worldly people. But godly people are they who seek God and nothing else. They are not bothered about that clod of earth or a piece of gold. They are not at all bothered. They just make use of the knowledge they have received in realizing the ultimate entity. And these spiritual people, these godly people, they are only after the ultimate realization. They then become kūṭa-stho. They don't get perturbed by the small petty things of this world. They don't get perturbed by honor and dishonor. They don't get perturbed by pleasure and pain. They have vijitendriyaḥ. Those are the people who have controlled their senses. For them, worldly life has no importance. Therefore, Sri Ramakrishna says, worldly people are they who seek after the permanent enjoyments, permanent things of the earth. But godly people, they seek Brahman alone. They seek the ultimate truth alone. So that was Sri Krishna's teaching to us in this 8th shloka of further elaborating that equipoised nature of the yogi, how he elevates himself, how he brings himself up on the ladder of the spiritual attainments. So that was the 8th shloka of the Dhyana Yoga of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur Jai. Jai Swamiji.